What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here, and I wanted to talk to you about a theory that I have about the Batman vs. Superman movie. By now, it's been a couple of weeks since the movie came out, and so I imagine most people who are watching my videos have already seen the movie. There are going to be some very minor spoilers in this movie. Really, I'm spoiling something that doesn't happen in the movie as opposed to something that actually does happen in the movie. But this is one of those things where if you were keeping up with casting rumors about the movie in the months leading up to the film, you may have heard that the actress from the Hunger Games sequels, Jena Malone, also from Zack Snyder's previous film Sucker Punch, you may have heard that she was going to be in the Batman vs. Superman movie. And I was kind of excited about that because I've never actually seen a movie with her where she's like a lead character, and the rumors were that she was either going to be Batgirl, Barbara Gordon, or she was going to be Carrie Kelly, Robin from Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. And Zack Snyder, although he said that Dark Knight Returns was not going to be a huge influence on his movie, I think we all knew that he was lying and that it was going to be a pretty huge influence. And while I am not a huge fan of the character of Carrie Kelly, in fact, if you go back and reread The Dark Knight Returns, you will find that the character herself is very plain and boring, and there's not really a whole lot going on with her. She's just there to kind of spout this teenage lingo that Frank Miller thinks, I guess, is realistic, or maybe he doesn't think it's realistic, I don't know. But there's not actually a lot going on with the character of Carrie Kelly, but I was interested in seeing somebody else try and bring a little bit of dimension to that character. Not Zack Snyder. I don't think he would have done any better than Frank Miller did in not giving that character any characterization, but I thought that Jena Malone might be able to do a good job kind of breathing some life into that pretty flat, boring character. So I was kind of looking forward to seeing Batman having a sidekick and hopefully it being a female Robin. I would have been okay with it being Barbara Gordon, but I think it would have been more interesting to just have Carrie Kelly be a thing in this new DC film universe. Well, as it turns out, Jena Malone is not in the theatrical cut of the movie. But then I started looking into this after I saw the movie and I realized, hey, wait a minute, that girl wasn't in the movie at all. And I started to formulate a theory in my mind. The theory is there's this one scene in the movie where Batman can basically see into the future. Presumably, he is seeing footage that is going to be happening in a later Justice League film, or possibly a film that's not actually a Justice League film, but is more just another Batman vs. Superman movie. I'm not really sure, but presumably this is all footage that is from a later DC movie that's set in the future. And apparently there's some people who are theorizing that if Jena Malone had been in the movie, that she would have been in this scene. And of course, there's about half an hour that was cut from the movie that will be re-added into the director's cut, or the R-rated cut, if you will. And apparently, there's going to be a lot of footage that was cut from the theatrical release. And I'm very curious if she's actually going to be in this R-rated cut. And if she is, are we going to find out if she's Robin, or if she's Batgirl, or if she's some unnamed sidekick for Batman in this post-apocalyptic future? But my theory comes from a scene that actually is in the movie. At the very beginning of the movie, we are getting to see what Bruce Wayne's reaction to the events of the Man of Steel movie were, circa that movie. Man of Steel takes place, I think, 2 years before Batman vs. Superman, or 18 months, I think is what they said. And we get to see Bruce Wayne in Metropolis, and there's this little girl, and he says, hey, where's your mommy? And she points at this building that's just been absolutely destroyed by the Kryptonian army, and then he gives her a hug, and then we never see this girl for the rest of the movie. My theory, not a very complicated one, I think that possibly this girl is Carrie Kelly or Barbara Gordon. Probably not Barbara Gordon, since Jim Gordon has been cast for the DC film universe. He's going to be played by J.K. Simmons. So that little girl is probably not Barbara Gordon, since Barbara Gordon would live in Gotham City, but maybe it's Carrie Kelly. Carrie Kelly doesn't really have an origin story. In The Dark Knight Returns, basically, her parents are hippies who smoke pot and they forgot that they had a kid, and she just runs away and joins Batman. There's not much of an origin there. So I could very easily see them, if they did want to use the character of Carrie Kelly, they could very easily alter her origin story a little bit and make it so that it makes a little bit more sense for her to join Batman. And we don't know how far in the future that dream sequence is where Batman is fighting apocalyptian soldiers and people who work for Superman, who's now, I guess, the overlord of the planet. We don't know how far in the future that is. So it could be that that girl, who's maybe 10 years old, circa Man of Steel, by the time we get up into the future, she's old enough to be Jena Malone, and now she's Carrie Kelly, and she's in a costume. Personally, I think that would be kind of cool. Like you would probably know if you watched my video that I did with Connor Nielsen, where we talked very extensively about the Batman vs. Superman movie. I did not like the movie as a whole, but more and more, the more I think about it, I think that there are some cool things that they could do with this film universe. Mainly, I'm still hoping, praying that they will just get rid of Zack Snyder and David Goyer. I think that would make these movies work a lot more. But I do think that this is a potentially interesting way that they could go with the character of Carrie Kelly, or whoever it is that Jenna Malone will hopefully be playing. Hopefully, this isn't going to be a situation kind of like the Amazing Spider-Man film series, where you had Shailene Woodley. She was going to play Mary Jane Watson in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and then they cut all of her scenes, and then the Amazing Spider-Man series got rebooted, and Spider-Man has now gone back to Marvel Studios, so Shailene Woodley is never going to play Mary Jane Watson in an actual film. Hopefully, this same thing is not going to happen with Jenna Malone. Hopefully, they've cast her in something, and she will show up in a later movie. She just didn't get to show up in the theatrical version of this movie. That's my hope, because I really do think that she could be interesting as a lead actor or actress or whatever you want to call her in a movie. It's just that both of the movies that I've seen with her, she's really just been a side character. But I think potentially she could be really good, and I think she could be great to flesh out the character of Carrie Kelly and actually make her a little bit more easy to stomach and just more of a character in general. So what do you guys think of this theory? Do you think it's possible that this little girl that Bruce Wayne is consoling circa the events of Man of Steel, do you think it's possible that she will eventually become Batman's sidekick in this possible or probable dark future that Batman is seeing visions of in the Batman vs. Superman movie? Let me know what you think about this theory, and I will be doing some other videos in the future, and if you want to see me do other non-review type videos, something kind of like this, if you want to see more videos kind of like this, then let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the future. Have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.